Welcome, Cosmic Explorers, to the Cosmic Tune-Up Happy Hour with your host, Rebecka Gregory. Gift yourself with the next hour to look within, expand, grow, and open to new possibilities. So come along for a joy-filled journey into the cosmic truth of you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cosmic Tune-Up Happy Hour here tonight with Rebecka Gregory and my special guest, Kimberly Campolattaro. I hope I said her name right. I was like, I've known Kim for many years, and I'm like, Kim, I never say your last name. How do I say it? So hopefully I got that right, Kim. But I want to welcome everybody to the show tonight on this Good Friday. I'm sure everybody's getting a little stir crazy after being stuck in the house for I don't even know how many weeks it's been now, but I feel that everybody's moving through as best as possible under the circumstances. And what a beautiful evening this evening. You know, I just watching everything that's been happening and how the world's been changing and opening up in different ways, and just giving thanks and gratitude. And today, you know, being on Good Friday, you know, in the Christian point of view, that, you know, what Good Friday is about. You know, for me, the Good Friday always represented a place of really opening up for forgiveness for what had happened way back when Jesus died on the cross. And so I'm asking right now, you know, forgiveness is a huge thing that right now really needs to happen in this world to open up to a new space to bring in love. You know, because with forgiveness, we open up, we bring in more space to allow love to come in when we can forgive ourselves, forgive others, and maybe forgive even things that happened along your lifetime, even forgive things from ancestral or, you know, your neighbors or whoever might have done you wrong in the past. And what I'm asking right now as we start the beginning of this show, before we bring Kim on to talk about dying consciously, we're going to be talking about this evening, which is a beautiful rite of passage when people are transitioning or just in your life to move forward in a shamanic way to look at dying from a different point of view. And Kim has some beautiful things to share this evening. But before that, I'm asking everybody, just take a deep breath. And I just want everybody to put a hand on your heart for a minute. And just sit there. And bring up a person, yourself, a group of people, or a situation that you're ready to open up for forgiveness to. Maybe you've held on it for a year, a day, a week, years, a whole lifetime. But now's the time. Now's the time to open up to a new world. Time to open up to a new space. One of love and not fear. With so much fear going on in the world right now. So anything we can do on any level to open up, to make that change, to make that shift. I invite everybody open to that space tonight to do that for 1 second. 1 minute, just focus in on somebody or something, a situation, or yourself, because that's the biggest forgiveness of all, forgiving yourself. You like to forgive. And just put your hand on your heart. Bring that forgiveness in. And just send it out to that person. Send love out to that person, that situation, or love just to yourself right now. Just allow that to go out into the universe, to the consciousness of the planet that's in so much fear right now. To open up the forgiveness, to bring in the love that needs to help shift this planet right now. And the more time we can take for ourselves to do this, the more things will shift and change. And all this fear in the world right now will slowly melt away. Just allow that to move through your body, feeling the love coming into your heart right now. And also the love and forgiveness going out into the world. And just remember forgiveness. It's not always about forgiving what has happened, because the situation, whatever happened, you know, it's part of your story. But seeing that person as the sentient, beautiful being that they are on top of it, above it, and looking beyond that 3D image of what is, to open your heart to forgiveness. And that's what it's all about. Seeing beyond the actions taken by others. To open our hearts to love. from a new level, a new space. Ooh, so just breathe that in. I don't know about you, but I'm tingling from head to toe right now, bringing all that energy in and all that love in and that forgiveness I sent out. So tonight I wanted to start real quick with this evening's card, with the card reading this evening. I pulled the Rumi deck, Oracle deck this morning by Lana Fairchild, who's was one of my favorite decks. And just beautiful what came up. The card that popped out today is the number 4, which is the Cloak of Christ. And how apropos that this card popped out this morning to read on the show tonight for where we are right now, bringing in that consciousness of the Christ into our hearts, into our beingness. So I'm just going to read this little insert for you guys. In the beauty of in the school of humanity, when you become intimate with God, you reside on the King's throne and teach the angels the nature of the divine. And I'm going to read that one more time. In the school of humanity, when you become intimate with God, you reside on the King's throne and teach the angels the nature of the divine. So here's a little message that goes along with it. My sacred brother, he who shares my heart and yours, beating as one in harmony with the great unending love, brings you the mantle of his protection. Do you imagine that there is any part of your life, of your body, of your soul, that is outside the realm of his divine love and protection? Offer all to him, leaving nothing cast aside. He and I together receive you absolutely without condition now. The compassion born out of our own struggles tempers the karmic weight of divine justice. We have all been through the same journey you are taking now, sweet divine soul. In oneness with the divine heart, we know our efforts and your struggles. So what is bestowed upon you now is the restoration of forgiveness, of kindness, of mercy. My sacred brother speaks to you. He shall receive your darkness and your light, the angel of your heart and the demon of your fear. I need to read that one over again. The darkness of your light, the angel of your heart, and the demon of your fear. Nothing is greater than my brother's love for you. Nothing is greater than my holy passion for you. Take refuge under the cloak of Christ, the mantle of my sacred brother, and know that you're held in our loving sanctuary. And that's what it's all about right now, being held in the loving sanctuary of God, source, whatever you believe in, or where you are in your belief systems around the Almighty or source. But it's all about placing the soul within, especially what's going on right now when we are, I look at it, kind of in the war between love and fear, and allowing the fear to not win this time, to rising above it, to rising above and being in love from the heart, and changing the way we function in this world. And it's so important right now to come together as one and be as one from the heart. And that's where we all need to be. That's where we all need to function from. That's where we need to take steps to become. And we've been given this time to do that. And I know it's getting crazy out there, and I know there's a lot of transitions going on right now, and a lot of people that are sick right now. And my heart goes out to every one of them, and I just want everybody to send love out to everyone right now. But when this is all over, hopefully we will make the choice right now to get out of the fear and move into love, to make this great planet great again. So that's all I want to say about that tonight. So I thank you for listening to my Rumi article this evening and the beautiful message that came across this morning to share with everyone tonight. And much ado, I like to bring on my beautiful friend. So Kimberly, I met a few years ago. Her and I both actually took a dive to do of finding ourselves and finding love within ourselves. And we were together for a while, and that's where I met her. And she's the most beautiful, just beautiful golden angel I've ever met. We have been through the ups and downs, death and rebirth together, and just the connection that we have created through all this is just absolutely beautiful, of the communion of what the world should be in, and seeing that. And I just have the utmost respect for Kimberly. She's such a beautiful spirit. She's such a gift to this world, and I'm so grateful that she's stepping forward to do what she's supposed to do in the purpose of her life, to be here in this world, to help so many people. And her journey's been for a while, but her true journey, I know, is beginning now. And I'm so thankful she finally decided to come on my show and share her beautiful gifts. So further ado, I'd like to bring on Kim. Are you with us, Kim?
I am here.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Huh?
Thank you for that beautiful introduction.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. I know we've been through our ups and downs, and when Kim and I first met, we used to trigger the shit out of each other, didn't we?
Oh, we've had some good times.
And I've just learned so much from you, and my gratitude goes out to you so much for being that mirror for me through my path and journey, to help me through so much and see so much that I needed to move forward in my life. So you've been an instrument person in my I can't even talk now in my journey here.
Well, back at you, sister. Back at you for sure.
So welcome to the Cosmic Tune-Up Happy Hour. I'm so delighted you're here, and how apropos you're here on this evening of Good Friday with, what the day represents. And, and something that people really don't like to discuss, death and moving forward, and transitioning, but it's such a beautiful part of our lives. It's everything's beginning and ending. So just to open up, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, okay. Thank you so much. Wow, where to even begin? I have many titles, which is kind of interesting because I don't really like labels, but I'll start by kind of labeling myself as a clinical hospice social worker. I've been doing that for many years now. I'm also a certified teacher and practitioner of the Dying Consciously, the Greatest Journey class. I'm trained with the Four Winds Society. I'm also a death doula, or a death midwife, whatever you prefer, and a psychopomp. And if you're not familiar with a psychopomp, basically I help souls cross the veil. And a shamanic practitioner.
Beautiful. So can you, what exactly does a death, for those people that are just maybe tuning in and don't really understand, have never had this concept before of a death doula, can you kind of explain from the shamanic point of view and how you work on kind of what that's all about?
Sure.
I know it's a long conversation, but...
Well, a death doula is very much like a birth doula. A birth doula is welcoming somebody into the light. Somebody takes their first breath of air, they're entering the light, and a death doula is doing virtually the same thing as helping somebody cross back into the light when they take their last breath. And so as a death doula, death midwife, we help a person prepare for that journey. And the longer we're with someone, the better preparation. We can do visualizations and writing prompts and discussions and recapitulation and storytelling, and just really being present for someone as they process their life and come to terms with the nearing. And death doulas traditionally also help create death plans. And death plans essentially are, what do you want the end of your life to look like? If you could plan the perfect death or a good death, what does that look like? What kind of music do you want played? Who do you want present? Where do you want to be? And we're now moving into a time period where things are changing, as everyone is well aware, and we don't have the luxury of that control, of that planning anymore. People are dying in hospitals on ventilators and alone and isolated, physically alone, and without their family for weeks at a time. And so the role of a death doula is changing, and we don't have the privilege of sitting with someone for quite as long anymore as we used to, but we still have a pivotal role in helping someone with preparing for their final journey, their greatest journey. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what I'd like to talk a little bit about tonight is, we have to change our perception and adapt to what is happening in the world, and what does that look like for us as a community and as individuals. Mm-hmm. And as you said earlier in the call, there's so much fear coming up.
Yes.
And there's a lot of fear around death surfacing even more than before. I don't know many people who've never had a fear of death, and we're seeing it just amplified right now, and it's on the news, it's on social media, it's everywhere we look. We're surrounded by this fear, and it's very, very strong and overwhelming. It is.
So what do you recommend for, because I know it's huge in our world right now with everything going on with the virus, and I'm just so grateful we're doing this show, because it is something that needs to be talked about, and not from a state of fear, but from a place of love. As this is reality of what's happening in our world right now, and we can't hide from it. We can only embrace it with love. So what do you recommend for people that might have somebody in the hospital right now, that you like to talk about, to maybe, bring that energy in of somebody who feels hopeless, maybe give us some hope, or things they can do to kind of help with somebody's in the hospital right now or what's going on? Is there anything you can recommend with what you do to kind of help them?
Oh, absolutely. We've always had to work around helplessness and hopelessness in the fear of death and dying. That's a normal emotion that people have, and and working with hundreds of people in hospice, if not more, over my tenure, that was a very common theme: is how do you help someone not feel helpless and hopeless? And our traditional methods don't work right now, because a lot of them involved being present with someone who was dying and touching them, and massage and music and talking and all the things that were gifts that you can give when you feel like you're taking so much away from a person. Mm-hmm. And so now we're in this place of, well, how can we be helpful, and how can we be hopeful when we don't have the control and the independence to just walk into a hospital and sit down with our loved one and be present? And there are several things, and because of the situation, I created a YouTube channel and a Facebook group called Dying Consciously, a Shamanic Perspective, as basically an avenue for sharing tips, tools, and hope for those who want to assist the dying and the dead in this day and age. And it's my prayer that we can find ways of supporting each other and the love that we have for working with our family, our friends, and our patients, our clients, so we can still create a good death, even though the parameters of what that looks like has changed. And
yes.
So a few of the things that we can do is really come to terms with the fact that the world is changing, and what find out what our agreements and beliefs are around what a good death look like. We can't plan it anymore at this point. We can't plan what we want it to look like, but how can we still create a good death? And one of the things that came to my mind when I was thinking about this recently was that in all my experiences working with people who are near death, I can't really tell you how many times this hasn't happened, because it's happened so many times, but in the last few days before they take their final breath, they're reaching out and they're talking to someone that's crossed over, and they're reaching out at their time of death with a smile on their face, and they're telling me they're ready to go, and they're going on a journey, and they're preparing for this trip. And so for me, that means that they're not alone.
No.
So they may be physically alone in a hospital, but they're surrounded by ancestors. They're surrounded by loved ones and spirit guides that are going to help them on their final journey. So finding some comfort in the fact that your loved one may be physically alone, or with strangers, and nurses and doctors may be at their bedside, but not people that love them the way you do, but knowing that they are surrounded by people that love them in the ancestral form. may help bring some comfort to the person that's left behind and is not able to be there. That's a really important point to make, is that, they're not really alone. Another thing to remember too is that there are things that you can do for them to help them on their journey without being next to them. And one is creating an altar. It could be inside, it could be outside, it could be with pictures or their personal belongings. It could be with flowers and things that make you happy, something that represents their energy. And you sit with that altar and you pray, you light candles, and you are helping them prepare for their journey, or maybe they've already passed and you're connecting with them. But pictures are kind of like portals to their energetic soul. And so sitting in front of an altar and communicating and talking and writing letters to them and leaving it on the altar, or burning it, in the fire on the altar, in letting spirit send that message to them, is another really powerful way of communicating with them and helping them on their final journey.
Very, very good point with all that, especially, the alone part of being alone, because, people I've talked to, people transition, that's the biggest thing. I wasn't there. They were alone. And that's so true. You're never alone in that time. There are so many angels and ancestors and loved ones that have passed on that are with everyone who transitions. I'm a firm believer of that. And thank you for the share of the altar too, because that's so beautiful too. And, my feeling is, somebody's in that state of ready to transition, they will be able to connect to you with that altar. So on some wavelength and some, quantum field, they are there with you, as you said, at that altar, even though you can't be with them in the physical realm in the hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really be gentle and easy with yourself, because you're going through something that's very scary, very challenging. You're stepping into this unknown time period of what's going to happen. Are they going to survive? Are they going to die?
Yes.
And, you're doing the best that you can given the circumstances that you have, and that you are not alone. You're also being supported by your ancestors and your family and your spirit guides and your spirit animals and the angels, and to really tap into that energy as well. And, from a shamanic perspective, we don't see death as an ending. It's a continuation. It's just in a different form. And one of the beautiful shamanic death rites that I love teaching, and Becky, you took this class with me,
yes.
And you know how powerful this is the death spiral, the great death spiral. And this is absolutely something that everyone can do. It doesn't matter what your belief is, if you are a religious person or a spiritual person, or if you have absolutely no belief in any afterlife. You can still engage in this as a ritual, as a ceremony, to bring peace to yourself.
Yes.
And basically, in the video on my YouTube channel, I go into how to do this, and then I also have written directions available at the end of the video on how to find that in Google Docs. But it's such a beautiful ceremony, and the reason I love it so much is that it's something that helps you to release your loved one. You're giving them permission to go, and you're helping them go. And you don't need to have them physically in front of you to do that. You can use crystals or rocks, or you can even use 7 items that represent who they are as their chakras in front of you, and you do this beautiful ceremony to release the energy from this space and send them on their way, knowing that they're going to make their journey safely and assuredly because you did this for them. And what I have found in my experience with spirits that get stuck in the earthbound setting, they usually do so for 3 reasons. A sudden death. So, for example, maybe there was a car accident and someone is jolted from their body and they try to get back in their body. A traumatic death, which could also be a car accident or a sudden illness or injury, or a fear-based death. And a lot of times fear-based deaths, in my experiences, have been with unresolved or unfinished business, people who felt that they were dying too young, or people who were just very scared about what death looked like. They were afraid to die. And I guess there could be a subset, another fourth group, is that if there's somebody here that is not ready to let go, a spirit may want to hang around.
Yes.
So this exercise, this shamanic death rite, allows that spirit to move on quickly so that they can go through the next plane, the astral plane, the other world, without being tied to this one. And then we can still connect and do our grief process without holding on to them and keeping them here. So it's really beautiful. There are actually 4 shamanic death rites, and the Great Death Spiral is so amazing because you don't have to have a person in front of you to do it. It's just something that you can do on your own, and if you create a ceremony however you like to do that. And it also helps you feel like you're doing something instead of doing nothing.
Yes. And what are the other death rites? Would you be able to go over those tonight?
Sure.
Yeah, so people can kind of understand the whole thing.
The first one is the Great Life Review and forgiveness. And you kind of touched base on the forgiveness in the beginning. Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others is so important because what shamans believe, and many cultures believe this, is that when you die, you still have to clear whatever toxic energy you're carrying with you as you go through the dying process and the death process. And the more you can clear before you die, the cleaner you are, your energetic body, the faster you go through that process, that bardos, whatever tradition that you follow, whatever that looks like, the faster you go through it because your energetic body is clean. And so sharing your story and doing a Great Life Review with people and being heard. It's not a conversation. It's more of I'm telling you my story and you're just witnessing it. And by me sharing my story with you, I'm processing it, and I may be seeing things that I didn't see before. And it gives me an opportunity to find the areas that I need to forgive myself or others. And we can all be doing all of these now. We don't have to wait until we're sick or injured or near the end of our life. We can absolutely be working on this stuff every day now with the people that we love or just ourselves. The second shamanic death rite is called cleaning or cleansing of the chakras. And in the video, I actually show you during the death rite, the Great Death Spiral, how to clear a chakra. So basically our chakras, we have 7 of them, and they rotate clockwise. So they rotate as if they're going towards our feet. And they each represent a different part of our body, and they all have their own jobs, their own color, and their own, purpose for our essence, keeping they keep our luminous body attached to us, which is basically our soul, our ray of light. And so it's important to keep them clear and clean, and they do get full of sludge and toxics and, just all of the experiences that we have that could be negative, they could be heavy, they could be harmful, and if we don't work through them, that energy lives in our body. And so cleansing the chakras, you simply take your hand in front of your chakra. So if we're starting with our root chakra, which is down by our sexual organs, we would just put our hands in front of our body, and we would rotate our hand counterclockwise 3 or 4 times and pull out the energy and just let the energy fall to earth. You can imagine it's going into a fire, imagine it's going into the water. You can do it in the shower. You can ask Mother Earth to take it. Now that she's starting to finally clear out of all the toxic energy, she may be able to take a little bit more.
That's why she put us in timeout, Kim.
Right. She put us in timeout for that reason. But it's being transmuted to love. So you're not sending her, technically, you're not sending her toxic energy. You're sending energy to be transmuted to love. And you do that with all your chakras, and you do that every day or whenever you're really feeling heavy. And you can also doing that with your loved one as they're dying. And if they're not in front of you, you can, again, use stones, crystals, or objects to represent their chakras and help them clear out the sludge so that they can move on much more easily and freely.
Beautiful. So they can take this, the practice I did with the chakras and lay out stones and kind of imagine it's a person in the hospital and clear their chakras for them every day. They would be able to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, what a beautiful thing to do if you can't be with the person physically, to, be able to have that to at least help them, and clear out to also help them heal as well.
Yeah, this could definitely help with healing. This doesn't mean that you only need to do this with people who are dying.
Mm-hmm.
You can do this with people who are sick or for any reason, even if it's just an emotional breakdown. We are heightened right now with our emotions, with everything going on in the world.
Yes.
And if you have a family member who's struggling, this is something that can help them. All you need is their permission, and then lay down. And I am going to be creating another video on how to cleanse the chakras. Should have that up in the next week or two on my YouTube channel. So keep checking. But if not, if you look at the first video at the very end when I'm doing the Great Death Spiral, it's very similar, just to rotate the chakras.
Beautiful.
Counterclockwise until you feel like the sludge is cleaned out, and then just rotate it clockwise again and give yourself a little blessing. I do this frequently, and I always feel better afterwards. And the more you do it, the more you'll feel into your own energetic body. It's really a beautiful practice. And the third shamanic death rite is giving someone permission to die. Now, this one I always tell people, if you could go into the future 6 months or a year from now, what would you regret that you didn't do in this moment with your loved one? And most of the time people say, well, I had the hard conversations. And those hard conversations include forgiveness, and they include giving someone permission to die. And all that means is you're telling them that it's okay for them to go, that you're going to be okay. And if they have people here that are young or need to be cared for, that you're going to help take care of them so that their business is finished completely. And I've seen in my experience people hold on for days past when they should have died.
Yes.
Because they were waiting for someone to show up or someone to call because they needed to hear from a specific person permission. And I've also seen people get agitated when they've been given permission and they're not ready yet because there's still something else they're holding on for. So this is not like I'm giving you permission and you could suddenly die. This may be I'm giving you permission and now they need to process that and then they'll die when they're ready. But I have witnessed this numerous times in my hospice career when a family member gave permission that people die immediately.
Yes.
So you need to be prepared that when you give permission that they could die immediately, or it could just be that now they can process that and they can leave when they're ready, but they can leave with peace in their hearts and peace in their minds because they know that you're going to be okay and they have your permission to go. So that's really, really powerful, that they don't have to cling and hold on to life anymore, that they know that, okay, especially when you have a couple that maybe they've been married 50-some years.
Yes.
And they're afraid to leave the other one behind. It's really, really powerful when you hear someone give you permission to go. And those are usually things that I hear when people are really struggling with their grief down the road is, oh, I wish I said that. I wish I did that, but I wasn't strong enough or I didn't know. So always try to think about in the future, who are you without your mom?
Yes.
And what does it look like? What did you want to say to her? And have those conversations now. Because in this day and age, tomorrow is certainly not guaranteed. And so have those conversations with the people that you need to have them with now. Don't wait until they're in the hospital or it's too late.
Yeah, and I think that goes to Kim now, with everything that's going on right now, we're moving into a world that the truth is coming out. And speaking the truth and being vulnerable and being able to be in that space with anyone to open up, to be able to discuss those things is a huge thing that we're transitioning to a whole way of being. I know I had a couple weeks ago, it's been a couple weeks, about a month ago, I was visiting my father, and I actually had this, because of the class I took with you, I actually had that conversation with my dad, which we'd never been able to speak about before. So I thank you so much for bringing this work, and opening my eyes to that, to be able to have that conversation with him, which was so beautiful to open up to a new space, because it is something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, but it's such an important part of our cycle.
It is. And if you're finding that you're having a difficult time with these conversations, it could very well be because of your fear of that.
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so really sitting down with yourself, and this weekend is a beautiful time to do that. We are in the weekend of Easter, and today is the representation of the crucifixion of Christ, and call in Christ's energy and ask for assistance in figuring out, well, what are your true fears? Are you afraid of the actual process of dying, or are you afraid of leaving people behind? Or are you afraid of what comes next? And really go through those agreements, and where did you learn these beliefs, and how do you start to unravel them? And so if, for example, you determine that, well, you're afraid of, I don't know what comes next, there are beautiful death visualizations that you can do, which are kind of like little meditations that guide you through the tunnel and guide you to the light. And you can feel the energy of that. And the more you do that, we used to do that a lot with dying people. I did that in hospice. I did visualizations all the time because, first of all, it helps control pain. When you distract someone from pain with a visualization of taking them fishing or taking them to the beach, you can see their whole body relax. It's so powerful what we're capable of when we let our bodies and our minds go. So that if you can practice actually going through the dying process and go through a visualization that you're letting go of your body and you're leaving your body and you're going through this tunnel and you see this beautiful light with your ancestors all around you, the more you do that, the less the fear is. It changes it so that when you do die, you're ready for it because now you know what to expect. You've been practicing it for a very long time. And so really looking at, well, what are your fears? Where do they come from? And knowing that we are in a state where everything is changing. And so how do you change with it? How do you provide support for your loved one when they're alone in the hospital and they may be dying? And what support do you need when you can't just show up at your neighbor's house and say, I need a hug right now?
Yes.
Right? Like, so really think about how you need to be supported and how you can support your loved one. Is there somebody you can FaceTime with? Can you have an extra phone that you can put in the hospital room to have next to your spouse and FaceTime them or play music for them? What can you do to be present with them, even if you can't physically be there? Because, when we have close connections with people, like, Becky, you do this to me all the time. I'll think of you and then you call me. So
I do that.
It's like, if we can connect like this, and it's just a normal day. Like, think about the power if we truly sat down and we looked at their picture and we lit a candle and we sat with them and we said prayers and we connected to their energy, they would feel that.
Oh, definitely. It's, opening up to that intuition that we all have inside of us. It's just opening to spread it out and trust it and open to it. The power that we have. And I also want to say, if anybody has any questions for Kim, I totally forgot to do the call-in number. I got so excited talking to Kim, out the door it went. So if you'd like to give us a call and have any questions for Kim about this subject, the number to call is 517-208-1500. And also, I just want to let you know the video that Kim had talked about earlier, I will put on the Oneness Talk Radio YouTube channel with this call, so you can look that up, and I'll put a link to it for you so you can have that information as well. So I wanted to let you know that before I forgot to say it. So.
Yeah, and if anybody has a question that they want to just send me an email, if it's a private
how
question,
can people get in contact with you, Kim? We'll just do that right now since we.
The best way is email witnessingdeath@gmail.com, and that would be the easiest way. And you can write out whatever you have privately, or if you don't really feel comfortable doing the shamanic death rite and you would like me to do it for you, I'm absolutely happy to do that. I do not charge for that service. I will create a ceremony. You can video in on the ceremony if you like. If not, all I need is the name of your loved one, permission from you to do so, and I will do a ceremony and let you know when it's done. I do them all the time. I'm very comfortable with it, and I really love doing them. So if you have a loved one that has passed, or are taking their last breaths, and that's going to happen soon, feel free to reach out to me and we can definitely set something up.
Oh, beautiful. That's beautiful, Kim. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure, that really helps assist in this process with people having that done. So I highly recommend it when people are transitioning to do this, to give them yourself peace of mind, and also the person transitioning over, if they're leaving, they know that you're at peace and that going through that process as well.
Well, and I understand what it's like to lose someone, and in those few moments and few days and weeks, you're really not in a place of thinking of what you want to do. Mm-hmm. You make plans, and then those plans go out the window. And so I did this for my mom immediately upon her death, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to be received. My brother was there, and I had kind of told him ahead of time a little bit about it, and he had called my sister, and he was telling my sister that my mom had died, and I heard him on the phone while I'm in the room with my mom doing this ceremony, and he said, well, Kimmy's in there right now, and she's doing a ceremony so that mom doesn't come back into her body, so that mom can move on. And I kind of chuckled, but I was bawling at the same time. And but it was just so interesting to see how someone else perceived what I was doing. And in essence, that is exactly what I was doing. I was helping her soul cross over so she could leave her physical body behind, because it was no longer needed and no longer necessary. And my mom was actually very, very fearful of dying. Yes. And so I know that in that moment, I don't know if I did it right, because I was such a mess, but I did it. And if someone else was available to do it for me, I probably would have said, hey, would you mind helping me? But in that moment, I just did the best I could. And so I know that when you're in that deep state of grief, you may need assistance. And so I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Oh, beautiful. And such a beautiful, it's just, I can't explain the service that you're offering to the world, how it touches my heart, because it is so well needed. And always has been needed, but really right now in this time is just so, so, so important. The purpose that you found to assist others in this world, and the gift that you give. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yes. So with everything going on right now, can you give any other tips and tools, or have any other information kind of maybe assisting people moving through everything, the fear that's going on, if they have people in the hospital, or, anything you can suggest to kind of help ease people's mind from the practices of what you worked with? I know we touched on a lot of things so far, but anything else you'd like to share with us this evening?
Well, it's when you're in a state of crisis, it's really hard to learn these tools. Mm-hmm. These are tools that work best when you've already had time to practice. But one of the easiest things that you can do, and you may have to do this many, many times throughout the day, or set your phone to go off to remind you to do this, is to check in with yourself. And kind of like what you do with a meditation is when you just put your hand on your heart, hand on your belly, and just kind of get calm and see what's going on in your body. Are your shoulders up to your ears? Are you really tense? And the thing that has helped me the most is deep breathing. And it is so simple, but it's so profound. Mm-hmm. And I like to do this one particular breath sequence when I'm really stressed out. And it's simple. I inhale very slowly through my nose, and I count to about 4 or 5, and then I hold it till about 7 or 8 counts. And then I slowly exhale as long as I can. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 8 counts. And I do that about 4 times in a row. And sometimes I'll just think to myself, I am on my inhale, and then on my exhale, relaxed, or I'm calm, I'm safe, I'm protected. And right now we have all these fears of contracting a virus and being around people who are sick, and these are people that we love. And so really finding a mantra that works for you, but also telling yourself that you're safe, you're protected, you're okay, you're calm. Because when you are in a state of calm, you make good decisions. And when you're in a state of crisis, you're making decisions based on the state of emotion that you're in, and they may not benefit you in the long run. Yeah. So when you have a loved one in the hospital and you're not getting that doctor on the phone when you want that doctor to be on the phone to give you an update, do the deep breathing.
Would you like to walk us through it right now?
Yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, why don't we do a little mini session? How's that sound? Just to get everybody... Yeah, we'll just take a couple minutes and just breathe and let everybody kind of relax here. Because tools are always fabulous.
So just get comfortable. I would assume that no one's driving since everyone has to be home. So if you're driving, don't do this exercise. But if you're at home, find just a comfortable spot. Even if you're standing, this is not something that you have to do in a meditative sitting or laying down position. You can do this in the shower. You can do this whenever you're alone for a few moments, or even if there's chaos around you. So just put your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly. You can do this with your eyes open or closed. And just kind of check in and just sense your physical body. Where is it tight? Where is it heavy? Are your shoulders tensed? Do you have any pain, any discomfort? And as you sense your body, when you take your first inhalation, imagine that inhale, that you're pulling in energy. Imagine that energy is coming through your nose and is going to that part of your body that is uncomfortable, that is hurting, that is painful, that is tight. And imagine that energy, that light is going into that part of your body and is helping you to loosen up. So let's take an inhale. Hold it. And slowly exhale. Let's do this again. Inhale through the nose. Hold it. And slowly exhale through your mouth. And now check in with your body to see how it's feeling. I usually do this about 4 times and then I check in. And if you're feeling tight still, or if you sense a new area, breathe in that energy and just keep breathing it into that energy, into that space until you feel it loosen up. And if you're already feeling loose, then just breathe in energy and use a mantra that you feel calm, you feel safe. So inhale. Hold it. And this time, as you exhale slowly, imagine all that toxic energy is just flowing out with your exhale. Let's do it one more time. Inhale. Hold it. And slowly exhale. And now with your hand on your heart and your hand on your belly, check in again and see how you're feeling. Are there any changes? And you can do this, sometimes I do this 10 times in a row. I do this practice often right before bed when I'm about to close my eyes. I do this in the morning as soon as I open my eyes before I even pick up my phone. And I do this several times a day, especially in times of crisis, but I've also trained my body to respond to it beforehand, so my body does respond pretty quickly. So if you're finding that your body's not responding quickly, this is something that you just need to keep practicing. You need to teach your body how to calm her or himself when you're feeling tense, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling all kinds of emotions, so that when you are in a state of happiness and you are in a state of joy and you want to expand that, this practice is amazing to do, and it knows what your body knows what to do, and you just bring in more light and more energy. And so this practice can be done during times of grief, during times of, like I said earlier, trauma, crisis, but just do it. That's the point. It's the easiest thing that you can do. It's a gift for yourself.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Kim. I think I fell asleep for a second because I aligned myself. I'm back though.
I was like that in the beginning when you were doing yours. I was like, oh my God, this is so nice.
Yes. Yeah. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
Come back, everyone. Come back.
And if you find that you can't hold your breath very long, or that breathing sequence doesn't feel right for you, then play with it and practice. Find what does work. Maybe you hold your breath for 2 seconds. There's no, it's not scientific in a way that it has to be done this way. It is scientific in the fact that it does work. They've proven that this reduces your heart rate and your blood pressure and your body relaxes. But there are so many different breathing modalities out there. This one just happens to work for me, and I really enjoy doing it. So find one that works for you, and do that before a phone call, before you have to call someone, or if you're on hold and you're not getting the information and you feel your blood pressure rising and you're feeling all kinds of...
Kim? I think we lost Kim. Are you there, sweetie? Let's try. Well, I think we have lost Kim. Maybe she'll call back in. I don't know what's going on right here. So we'll just continue on. So, Kim, I don't know what happened, but thank you so much for joining us. Let me see if I can get you back on. Hold on a second. See, we created so much energy here. We knocked her off the air. Kim? Okay, we're going to try this one more time. And we're getting to the end of the show anyway, so I'm going to try to call her back, but I'm going to keep on talking. Thank you so much for, I would say I'm calling her back. Kim?
Hello?
Oh, you're back.
Sorry, I fell asleep.
Did you? It's okay.
Beginning.
Did you?
I was out in the country,
you did your dying consciously. You transitioned. And we're back. See? Welcome to the new world.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yay!
Yay! Welcome to life. Thank you so much.
But no, I want to thank you so much, Kim, for joining me. It was so much fun tonight. Such a pleasure to see, you stepping forward into what your passion is and your love that you have in this work that you do. So I'm so honored that you were here with me tonight to share this information. And do you want to leave anybody else with any? And I'm going to finish up tonight, as I always do, with a little bit of sound. We'll do a transmission this evening, but I want to finish. If Kim, you have anything else you'd like to share? I know right now not many people are out and about, but when that changes, any things that you offer or anything like that you would like to share this evening, and contact information, and also I'll put that on YouTube as well, so you can get that if you don't have a pen and pencil to write it down right now.
Yeah, my email is the best way to contact me. You can also join my Facebook group, which is Dying Consciously, a Shamanic Perspective. And then the YouTube channel, I will be posting more videos about the shamanic death rites and more information about how to work with the dying and how to work with yourself, so you can prepare ultimately for your travel when that time comes. I do teach the Dying Consciously class in person, which is super, super fun. It is a very hands-on, very experiential class. We do a lot of energy work. It's more than just learning the 4 shamanic death rites. And if you're interested in learning more about that, please email me. I had to cancel a couple classes, but I'm hoping to go to Texas and Idaho in the near future, and maybe back to Florida. So
yes,
let me know where you are. I do travel.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I highly recommend the class. It's a wonderful class. It's a beautiful process to know, have in your tool belt, and just to know, even if you're not in the healing world or anything, just to know, just to help people at a time when people are transitioning, or just for your own health, to clear your chakras and things like that. So, and prepare for your own transition one day, starting now, so you're nice and spicky clean when you decide to take the walk through the veil. So, but
exactly.
Yeah, but thank you again, Kim. And just so much love to you. I just thank you for being here. And I'm just going to end tonight with doing some sound, because everybody seems to enjoy my lovely sound. And we're going to do a little. I feel like the Christ consciousness light's coming in tonight, and they've got some really interesting sounds that I like to come through. So, everybody, and we're just going to go to the end of the show, so please look me up on YouTube on onenesstalkradio.com. The show should be listed in the next couple of days, and also at just Oneness Talk Radio. All the archives are there as well. And if you want to ever contact me at my website, it's RebeckaGregory.com, or email me at cosmictuneuphappyhour@gmail.com. So I thank everyone. I wish everyone a wonderful Easter. If you celebrate Easter, Passover, whatever your traditions are, I just send out love, and that's all it is, celebrating love, because that's all we need to do, and holding my heart for everyone out there who might be struggling right now with the virus and everything that's going on, that we can move through it, and to the loved ones, that they can use these practices that Kim has so graciously shared with us this evening to maybe help you with the transition or what you're going through in your world. So I thank you again. And further ado, if everybody just close their eyes and just take a deep breath and just settle in. And I'm just going to continue to sound to do a beautiful transmission this evening for this weekend and the end of this super full moon, fooling you to move you through the next 7 days or so, to move you through what's going on with these energies that are shifting and changing as the world is opening up right now, and the energies are shifting and changing. There's a whole entire cycle that is changing right now that we really need to step into, to open up, to open our hearts out and bring in that forgiveness, to bring in that love in this time, in the energy that is happening, and let go of that fear so things can fall down, open up, and bring in this new world, and this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful new world that's coming in. So just take a deep breath in and feel the energy of the transmission. You might, if you don't hasn't listened to my sound before, just listen to the vibration of it, because that's what it's all about. It's just the vibration. It's back and enjoy. Breathe in the love, breathe in the light, allow it to flow through you.
Sending you cosmic heart love and gratitude for joining us at the Cosmic Tune-Up Happy Hour today. Join Rebecka next week at 5 p.m. Pacific right here at Oneness Talk Radio. Until then, keep on exploring you and changing from within.